You are listening to episode 40, The Heart of the Womb Room, Karen Kindig on motherhood and business. Welcome to Healing with Haley. I'm your coach, Haley Kirk. On this podcast, we dive into ways to heal, embrace, and truly love our lives. Here's my belief. So much of our suffering comes from what we believe. I'm here to help you understand your mind and question those thoughts to start your healing journey. Ready to get started? Let's go. Podcasters, welcome. We have a very special guest, Karen from the Womb Room. Say hi.
Hi, guys.
Hi. So I wanted to bring Karen on here because I recently did a podcast with Gabby, and she's in charge of the Baltimore Mom Walk. And we were talking about how we met at the Womb Room. And I was like, oh, we got to bring Karen on here. She's like the head honcho of the Womb Room. So tell us about the origin story, like how did the Womb Room come to be? Just go right in.
Okay, sure. Okay, so man, how far should I go back? So I didn't start the Womb Room. I can't claim that. My friend Heather Brown started the Womb Room back around 2015. I met her through the yoga community before that. And when I got pregnant in 2015, I had heard she was doing prenatal yoga, just one class a week or something like that. And so I joined the class right when I found out I was pregnant. I was like so excited.
Yes.
And I started taking her classes whenever she would have them and just became a bit of a fangirl. I had a really great pregnancy. She was my doula. I took her childbirth ed class, and it was just a really lovely experience. And then afterwards, when I had my baby, it was just like 10 times harder than I thought it would be. It was really hard. And I felt at that point like I didn't have the support that I really would have loved to have had the same way I did through the pregnancy and birth. I just kind of felt alone in the postpartum. And I remember thinking, I was like really struggling one day where my son was really colicky. He just like wouldn't stop crying. And I was just in my little rocking chair. And I just really remember thinking like, oh my God, I have no idea what I need right now, but I need something. I don't even know where to go to get help. I would pay like so much money for someone to just like hold him so I can sleep. I was exhausted. I was over it. And I didn't know where to find that. So long story short, I mean, a little bit after that, my friend Heather came to me and said that she, I just reached the point in her career where she wasn't having more babies. Her kids were a little bit older and she felt the need to move on to some other, career choice. And that was the point where I was like, man, the womb room really needs to be bigger and even offer even more services and not be gone. I just could not imagine with the amount that it really set me up. Like it gave me such a beautiful birth and pregnancy and, taught me so much, made me feel really empowered in my birth. I just was like, my mind was running wild with all these different services it could have. By then I had learned about postpartum doulas. I learned that there are therapists who specialize in working with moms and people having babies. And so I was just like running wild in my head with this, thinking about this space where it could just be like everything people need so that there was never someone sitting in a rocking chair thinking like, I don't know what I need, but I need something and not knowing where to go.
Yeah.
So basically what happened is I told her my ideas and we talked about me taking over. But then literally the next day I found out I was pregnant with my second.
Oh my God. Oh, it's like boom, boom.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So strange timing. I think looking back, maybe it was meant to be that way. It gave me more time to, plan this out instead of just like jumping head first.
Right.
So we've made a plan after I had him, I would take over. So it gave me like the whole 9 months plus some to really get my head on straight. And I'm grateful for that. We really planned, we really had a great, start in November of 2019, really hit the ground running and things were going so well for 4 months. And then the pandemic hit.
Wow.
And so that's how we got our start. We were there for 4 months. Things were great. And then we really had to pivot to bringing things online, all the stuff we were doing in person. So the yoga, childbirth ed, we were, hiring great doulas on the team, doing therapy. And we had to just really adapt to this new online world so we could still reach people in this time. I mean, the
Right.
pandemic was such a time of struggle. People needed these services more than ever. And here I was as like a brand new business owner thinking, oh my God, what did I just do? I bought a business and now there's a pandemic and it's all going to crumble. But it was really the opposite. It was people needing this more and more than ever.
Wow. So you noticed an influx in business growth
Oh, for
through
sure.
COVID.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. People,
Yeah.
this village, we're all craving. I mean, you couldn't even like go anywhere and see people at that time. It was so isolating.
How
People are
weird.
having their first babies where it's already such like a confusing and isolating time. But
Yes.
to not be able to like go to a play date and see like, oh, this other person is struggling with the same thing I am. Instead, you're just at
Yeah.
home thinking you're the only one. And
Right.
it's, I think the mental health struggles people went through were just through the roof.
So much.
And so, I mean, we just really stepped up and figured out what people needed and kept adapting throughout all of that. And now, yeah, here we are.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so, I've heard your story before, like, but I love this version because I didn't know some of those details. That's amazing. That is so cool. So when when I went through the prenatal yoga, I was obsessed. I loved it because it was just like you said, this community, this tribe of women who were coming together and we had the same goal and we were like preparing to be mothers and it was this uncertainty, but we were like navigating it together and just being in the presence of other women experiencing that same experience. It was so empowering. I loved it. I loved it. Each time I left, just like, I can do this. I have women with me. Like, even though we maybe not have even like hung out outside, at least we were like together in that moment. It was so fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you've never had a baby before, you don't fully get, like once you're pregnant and how exciting it is, then you like immediately go to, oh shit, what now? And there's
Exactly.
like, what
Exactly.
if
Like,
question?
oh,
Yeah, it's so scary all of a sudden because it's this
yeah.
thing you've never done before, yet you've been looking forward to it like your whole life probably. And you've been told
Yeah.
like this is the thing you're supposed to do is grow up and get married and have babies. And here you are doing it. And there's so much pressure on the situation that you really want to do it well. You feel
Right.
like this is
Yeah.
my chance. I'm doing the thing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's a lot, but I'm so glad that you had a good experience. I
Oh, I
love
so did.
all the
Yeah.
pictures you were taking and everything.
Yeah, I did everything. I was like, I am all in. I did the doula package. I did the birthing classes. I think I was gonna do the parenting, but then I just got sucked into like new motherhood and I was like,
Oh
"Ugh."
yeah, it
But
happens.
I wanted to do all of them. I was like, yes, all of the everything.
Totally. You're a
Yeah.
fangirl.
And I and I love that what I love so much about the classes was that it was like this is just information. I loved how it was very neutral. It wasn't like yes, do a home birth or yes, do hospital or they're bad. I didn't hear any negativity. It was just like here's information. What
Yeah.
do you think about it? Like what are your preferences? And you get to decide. And it was awesome. I loved that delivery of information because I felt like I could genuinely choose what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that a lot of people think that the womb room is very crunchy and like we're gonna push you to have a home birth. And that is so not the case. I
It's
mean,
so not the case.
we have, like 40 plus people on our team right now. And while we all have like similar birth worker training, we all have our different beliefs, right? Like everyone's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Everyone comes from different life experiences. And, we recognize that all of our clients are also going to be different and have different goals. And so we
Yeah.
really try to meet people where they are.
I love it. I love it so much. And I just felt really empowered like when I had my hospital birth. Now doing the hospital birth, I'm definitely doing home birth, but I decided this. I'm gonna do a home birth, but in an Airbnb right by the hospital. So I'm gonna like book it for like a week or something, and then just like just in case, I'm right next door.
I love that. Are you going to tell the Airbnb host?
No, that's a good point. Maybe I should communicate that ahead of time. I'd be like, I don't want no like water squishing on my floors.
We were supposed
Oh,
to stay in an Airbnb a few weeks before my third child was born.
uh-huh.
And I was like so confident in this decision. And then right beforehand, I canceled it. I was like, it was an hour from a hospital. And
Ooh,
I was
yeah.
like, I messaged the lady. I remember telling her, look, I'm 37 weeks pregnant. I don't know if this is a good idea. And she was like, I'm like, you have a tub, right? But no, we decided against it.
She
As
was like,
confident as you are, when you're like
liability.
having your third baby, you can feel, I think, overconfident sometimes. Sometimes like
Oh,
I've
interesting.
done this before,
You're
but
like, I know the drill.
but I'm glad we didn't do that.
That's so, oh my gosh, I love that story so much. So, as like as you've been doing the womb room, you said so you didn't start it. You kind of bought it out from your friend Heidi. So, what have been like the biggest challenges, especially like after COVID? We already know like the COVID one, but like after COVID, what were some of like the business challenges and what are like your future projections for goals with the womb room?
Sure. Um, Biggest challenges, I would say, like unanticipated challenges of being a new business owner. You know, I was a newbie coming into the birth world. I had started doing therapy with moms a little before that, like 6 months before that. After realizing like this is my passion, I want to work with this population. I was
Yeah.
doing it at the womb room actually. Um, I realized so there's like it's like very clicky, I would say, the birth world. It's very like judgmental and very, I'm coming into this space where people have been doing this for decades. And so I felt a little bit of that, like, who do you think you are type of thing in the community. And so
Mm.
I had to ask myself that, who do I think I am? Who do I think I am trying to make this difference in the world? I'm trying to do, you know, this, I think, really admirable, exciting thing. But here I am feeling a little bit like, did I actually earn this space? Did I actually, do I deserve to run this thing? And so there was a lot of like adjustment, I think, of myself to accept this new, like, big role of running this amazing space. So that was
I'm
a
so
big
curious. What were the answers? How did you come to the answers to those questions?
I think it just took time, really. It took time of me doing it and realizing like this is growing because I'm doing something right, because my heart's in the right place, because people are seeing this mission, they're seeing why it's working. I'm not like, I don't know. I think I always have this fear that if I'm a business person, I'm like, I have this like belief that people who do business are evil or something that's deep rooted
Oh,
somewhere in there. And I don't ever want to be perceived as that. I want to make like a positive difference in the world. Um, and so there was a little bit of that, just like I guess identity shift a little bit that I went through for sure. And then
so do you think it was like evidence? So if I'm hearing what you're saying, it was like evidences that the business was growing. So that was in
yeah,
turn the reason why you should be in that position or that you deserve to be in that position.
Yeah, it was just like reassurance from the success and from the people in my life. I mean, I have an amazing team of people like cheering me on. My husband, who
Oh,
has a whole business background, the team that I had hired. So Christy Graybill, one of the first people we hired, the educators, is like one of my best friends now. And Christy,
oh, Christy's amazing. I
she's
love her.
fabulous.
She's so vivacious. Yes.
Yeah, and she's such just like a good person in my corner. She's always someone I can talk things through with and has been from the beginning. And just,
Ah,
it's so important to have those people,
yeah.
that really understand you and why you're doing what you're doing, so you can kind of come to them when things get tough. I think that's another, just like you're never going to make everyone happy. That's another tough business lesson, is like, no matter, you know, we're trying so hard every single day to do amazing big things. And sometimes, something happens and a client's not happy, and it's devastating. It's like truly devastating to feel like you're doing this all for good reasons. You want to make a good difference, and then you disappoint someone. It's like the opposite of why we're doing this. So I think that has been a struggle for me. You know, and maybe naive of me getting into business thinking that would never happen. Of course, that's going to happen when you're in business.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that I think has been a struggle for me a little bit along the way. But these are, you know, emotional struggles I'm telling you about. I think
Mhm.
like business wise, I don't know. I mean, learning to put the right people on your team, that's like a huge one, is to really not just make sure they know how to do the job, but they know how to be on a team. We've hired some people along the way who had all the credentials and experience, and then unfortunately weren't great team players, and maybe would get some feedback from a client and would take it personally. And that's hard. That's hard because you just have to make sure people vibe as well with your culture. And so that's something I've also had to learn the hard way.
Wow. So what does it like this is so interesting. I love all these responses that you're giving to like what you need to know when you grow a business. So, how do you know someone is a good team player? You mentioned that it's that they don't take things personally. Is there more things that you're looking for as far as like being a team player?
Yeah. So not only do we try to be a really, community space for people having babies, but it's really also part of the mission of the womb room to be a community space for these birth workers, because birth workers are often out in the field doing this alone. And it's like, really important to me that these people have a place to go and talk about, how hard it is, and to get feedback from each other, and then to also just feel really supported. And, you know, that's just now a question that we ask in the beginning before we hire someone, is like, how do you get along with other people? How do you take feedback? Tell us about a time when you got some bad feedback, and how you handled it. And, how they answer those questions, I think is really important.
Yeah, wow. So in your business experience, like what is an example of someone like not being a team player?
Not being a team player would be, not really feeling or acting like they're part of the team so much. Some people, um, they also have maybe their own businesses on the side, and so they're really focused on that, which is understandable. But if you're joining a team, you want to be part of the team as well. And so it's like we have networking events. They might not want to come to those. They might, you know, not respond to outreach attempts when we're trying to get a hold of them, just like little things like that. And so like
Mm-hmm.
they have to be very good at communication. They have to, if I want to send a client to someone on the team, if they have a lot of pushback, it's just confusing. It's why are you doing this if you don't want to really be part of the team, and really come together with everyone and serve the mission, instead of everything is like a struggle going back and forth. And
Mm,
I
yeah.
think it feels a little weird because I don't want to go too into detail. I don't want to call anybody out, but it's
Right.
just,
No, yeah. Just being
yeah,
generic. Yeah.
yeah, just being generic.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've heard Tony Robbins talk a lot about that. Like you have it's not about who you hire, it's about who you fire is what he would say too. And I was like, whoa. And he's like, you can just like what you said, you could have a person with the most amazing credentials, but if they don't match your culture, it's a terrible decision to hire them.
Yeah,
And I was like, wow, like it's kind of cutthroat, but like it makes sense
yeah,
because like a person can really hurt your business.
yes, yeah. And I think that's really underestimated. So we've had some tough situations like that as well.
Oh, how do you handle like because I've seen I from Tony Robbins as an example, he's so good at helping people kind of come to their own conclusion like, yeah, I actually should leave. Like I'm not happy here. I should just like I don't match the culture. This doesn't match like my life's goals and pursuits. And he's like, great. Like it also doesn't match ours. Like this is a good match. Like see you later.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you. So how do you navigate those really uncomfortable, hard conversations?
I would say I've had several conversations just like that one where, I have to reiterate what we talked about when we hired this person, that this was the job you were coming on for. Here are the struggles I see. How do you feel about that? Really, like having their input is really important to me because I think you're right. Then you can help kind of, you know, guide them into seeing that answer for themselves, which usually does happen. We're both, maybe not feeling like it's such a great fit. If I'm feeling it, they're probably feeling it. And so the conversation can a lot of times be very cordial. And then there are just people who again take it very personally and they don't come to that conclusion on their own. And then the conversation is a little bit different.
Yeah. Oh man. I feel like that as a business owner, that would be the hardest part is like firing someone. It's
Yeah.
just like, because you think about like what that job means for their life and like
I
what kind
know.
of consequences that could happen. You're like, I don't mean to, but I have to, right? Because it's like this raft almost like, hey, you're kind of sinking the ship here. Like you're making
Yeah.
it not float.
Yeah. A friend of mine who has a business background as well recently said to me that, a great business coach once told her that the business must always come first. And I struggle with that. I struggle with that because like you said, people have lives and feelings but what she was saying is that if the business doesn't come first, there will be no business. And it's a really good point.
Right.
I mean, and so when I
True.
have had to make really hard decisions like that, I've realized I can't put this one person's feelings on top of everybody else on my team right now. In order to protect
Right.
this team of 40 people, I have to let this one person go. And so it still does feel super hard.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the point where you just pull up your big girl pants and do what you have to do, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's not fun, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think like it's so honest. I think it's actually like a gift to that person, right? Like, hey, I want to let you know how I honestly feel about your performance and your match with the company, and it's not matching. I think it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, hey, this isn't really working. Like, what are your
Sometimes
thoughts?
sometimes the person thinks it's working and you don't. So when you don't see eye to eye,
Oh,
it's a struggle. I read a book recently called Radical Candor. That's all about leading
ooh,
from a place of honesty and authenticity. And so they were saying that, with if you have someone on your team who is doing something you don't like, like doing the work incorrectly or not good enough,
yeah,
and you don't tell them right away, you are endorsing that and you're eventually going to have to let them go because they're going to keep doing that. They don't know to change that unless you actually have that conversation. So, I
right.
did from hearing that realized, yeah, there are probably some conversations I could be having with people on my team about their performance now that
Yeah.
would help them improve so that we don't have to get there down the road.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the book by Kim Scott, right?
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
goodness,
a good one. I would recommend it.
that's a good one. Oof, I'm gonna read that. So tell me about like your future projections for the womb room. Like, what do you see happening? Like, what new projects are you doing? Give us
Yeah, we
like
have like so many exciting things happening right now.
that's so cool.
So just a little bit about, this year, I would say in around springtime, I started to realize I was totally burning myself out, just doing like way too much, taking on way too much of the business myself,
Mm,
and not putting enough supports around me. And so that was a really hard lesson, but I think quickly kind of pivoted and realized I have to figure out how to get more help. So we just recently shifted to having a lot more support within the agency. And so we have a couple people doing support calls and things like that. And then I hired someone who's in a creative coordinator position, which is just doing a
Mm.
lot of like the fun and business growth type of stuff that I'm always like, man, I would love to get to that. But I just, there's just too much going on. And that
Right.
has been so fun because we've recently developed a whole line of merch that's now on our website.
Yeah.
We have a blog that is up.
So cool.
We are talking about future locations, so other womb rooms somewhere. We
Wow.
undisclosed. I'm not sure yet.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
excited.
yeah, I mean, I never honestly thought the womb room would come this far. I think I've already just surpassed my hopes and dreams for it. So everything we
Wow.
talk about for the future is a dream. I don't even know what to say. It's just beyond my wildest imagination, but it's so fun coming together with people on my team who I really love and have grown to be really good friends with, and just, create ideas and then do it. It's just the coolest thing in the world. It's so fun. And I feel like I'm really living a dream. Yeah, so other locations potentially, and really we have people reaching out, I would say pretty often, saying things like, do you know of a womb room in wherever, Detroit, like Texas, where, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry. But then it of course comes to my mind, well, maybe we need one, maybe I wish there were womb rooms everywhere. I obviously don't want to run
It's
all
a
of them,
need. Yeah, it's a
um,
need.
but people need this help. It really needs
Yes.
to be everywhere. And so if I can be part of, serving more people, then I want to do that as long as I'm not burning myself out.
No, yes. Oh, make it fun as you're helping people. That's so cool. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you. So if I'm hearing what you're saying, when you took on the womb room from your friend Heidi, you were like, what were you expecting? Like what was kind of like, oh yeah, like if I reach this level, then like, whoa. And what level was that?
Yeah. So her name's Heather, by the way, Heather
I'm
Frank.
so sorry.
Yeah,
I was
that's
calling her
okay.
Heidi this whole
That's
time.
great. It's similar.
Oh,
So she had this beautiful space in Hamden in Baltimore. I don't know if you ever went to that one, but the one upstairs from Greenberry's, it was right on 36th Street, and it was just
I saw pictures.
gorgeous.
I saw pictures on like Google Maps.
I mean, so that's the extent of my imagination, was we would be in this space
And it
at
was a
900
lot
square feet.
smaller than
Yeah,
what is the
well,
womb room.
like 300 square feet less or something, not a ton smaller, but it was, a row home. Um, and I thought we would hire a couple of doulas. I thought we'd have a couple therapists. I really did see the full picture that I think we're doing now, but it was on a much smaller scale. And I think what I didn't realize is how fast those people would fill up, in terms of supporting people. Because if you build it, they will come. Um,
Right.
and so it really, we only add people when we realize we need to. It's like, oh my god, suddenly we have no availability, we need another therapist. So we grow pretty organically. And so I didn't ever think I would be in charge of 45 people, and maybe more eventually. But it's beautiful. The team is so diverse and experienced. I feel like I'm just like surrounded by so much knowledge all the time, and
Yes.
it's a truly beautiful thing.
Like and the multidisciplines of knowledge is amazing. Like that's what I love about the womb room is like the pelvic floor specialist. There's like kids and music and parenting. And I'm like, oh, all the stuff I want to learn. Like it's so the breadth of knowledge is very inspiring. It's like, whoa. So so once you hit that level, so like now are you kind of wanting to expand nationally? Is that kind of like the big dream where it's like, let's have locations like everywhere?
I don't know about everywhere. I don't want to like be the McDonald's of, perinatal.
No global domination.
Yeah, that doesn't sound appealing to me, but I certainly want to reach more people because I think what we're doing is really amazing. So, I mean, we're trying to just figure that out in different ways. We're going to be recording some classes to put on our website. We
Cool.
are right now partnering with Care First. I don't know if you heard that, but we're
Yeah. Like a big
childbirth.
insurance agency.
Yeah, and yoga now in two of their locations in Baltimore. And so I don't know, it'd be really cool. They're obviously national. It'd be cool to do more of that because then we're able to access a whole different population of people who don't typically have access to really quality childbirth ed and yoga classes and things like that. So my
Wow.
dream is not only to, access more people, but more, different populations. And
Wow.
so finding more ways to do that is going to be great. Yeah.
Wow. So you partnered with Care First. That means people who have Care First insurance can use their insurance to pay for your services.
Actually, it means anyone in the community can go to Care First and take a free childbirth ed class that we teach. And Care First pays us. It doesn't actually go through any insurance plans at all. It's just, and so
Oh,
you don't even have to have Care First. They don't even check. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Their whole goal is just to be
amazing.
a community space where they are, helping improve health outcomes. So yeah, of course,
That's
that's
impressive.
our mission
That's
as well. So
oh man. How did they come to you or how did that whole partnership happen?
a friend of mine in the field connected us because they had reached out to her, actually a pelvic floor therapist. They had reached out to her and she was going to be teaching some classes there. And then, they learned all about what we do and wanted us to get in there too. So it's not just us. There's also a couple other people in there as well. So people you might have heard of in the field as well. It's really
Wow.
cool. It's really cool.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. I like
Yeah.
my heart for like mamas and like children, child rearing is just like swelling.
Yeah, and my ultimate goal would be like I want to be in this business forever and I'd have to adapt that. But what I'm trying to say is like everyone should have access to these services. And so what I really think should happen is the government should pay for this stuff. I think
It would be so
that
helpful.
it would be so great. That's
Yes.
because it only helps improve society when
Yeah.
new parents are taken care of. And no one should have to worry about, how they're going to feel supported when they're having babies. And so if an insurance company wants to get involved, in a fair way, obviously, then I'm all
Yeah.
for it. If it's going to be quality care that we can provide, to more and more people, let's do it.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Honestly, yeah, and I feel like even the community aspect, because my cohort that did the prenatal yoga, I had one mama who was just like she was experiencing I'm trying I'm blanking on the word postpartum. She was experiencing postpartum depression really bad and like she was having such a hard time nursing. And I was just like, let me just come to your house and I'll like teach you what I learned. And it was like she was just like crying. Like she was just like, how did you learn all this? And I was just like, oh, like, I they taught me, but like it's okay. It doesn't matter like how I learned, but like I'm here to help you, It's like, and she just felt so lost and so confused. And I was like, isn't that so cool that we met at the womb room in this community where we can like help each other and like the services help us, but we can help each other. And like it kind of
Yeah,
like is like a ripple effect. Like
totally.
I it's so it makes me want to cry. I just like I get so inspired by it. I'm like, ah, this is so beautiful.
It's how it should be, It's like on
Mhm.
one hand, I love it. I think it's so beautiful. On the other hand, I'm like, but we shouldn't be so amazed because this is how it should be, It's just it shouldn't be this like novel idea
I
that
know.
parents support each other. It should be how it is. And I think that is what drives me is like I want this to be normal. I want people
Yeah.
to know that this support is normal because if they see like we have a whole business that supports people having babies, then they will know, oh shit, this must like having a baby must be hard if there's this much support out there. So then they're a little more
Yeah.
prepared and they know,
Yeah.
okay, but there's help, it's just
Right.
normalized. So when people do struggle, they're not thinking it's them. They realize it's just a hard time of life.
Yeah. What do you think, like, what are some of your theories, if you even want to go down that rabbit hole, but like why, because we used to be pretty like tribal and communal. Why do you think it's kind of this shift to like independence do you think it was kind of like the only thing that comes to mind, and I could be wrong, is like, I can do it. Like, I'm a woman, I'm a strong woman. Like, I don't need to get help. Do you think there's aspects of that, or like, what do you, I don't know, like, what
Yeah.
brought us
Well,
to
I mean,
that
it's
point?
cultural. It's cultural. It's a whole result of, the Industrial Revolution and capitalism. And, that's essentially capitalism is like everyone out for themselves. We don't live in a collectivist society. We live in one that's like pull yourself up by your bootstraps and do it. And so that unfortunately translates to parents. They think they need to do it all alone. And they think if they need help, there must be something wrong with them and they should be ashamed. And it's just not true. I mean, you are not supposed to be able to do this alone.
Right. We
Like you
need help.
said, from tribes, there's a reason why humans lived in tribes and communities for so long because that's how they survived. And living in a society that has so many modern technologies and things like that, of course, makes it easier, but that doesn't take away from the emotional need we all have to connect.
Yeah. And then I'm just curious, like, what, because if you think about it, in the Mexican culture, my mom's from Mexico City, and at least in her family, I don't know if this is like throughout Mexico, but it was like the grandparents lived with the parents. So it was like so nice because it was like this like intergenerational experience for the kids, you
Yeah,
know? And so they got like, I'm sure that helped mom, you know, because it's like here's another woman or like, you know, another grandpa, another father figure. So it's like that's normal from my experience in Mexico. Why do
yeah.
you think it's not normal for American culture to have that intergenerational? Because it's almost like we push them to like go to the, you know, retirement homes, go, you know, go over there so I can have my space. But then
Yeah.
at the same time, having my space is like also isolating me at the same time. What do you think about
Oh my
that?
God, it's such a big question, but I mean, I think that you're hitting the nail on the head that other cultures around the world, they really value family and togetherness and really recognizing that, we need each other, this collectivism, and that, when America was formed, it was on this idea that, we're going at this alone and we're gonna pave the way ourselves and we're gonna have our own houses and we're gonna do this all on our own and forget mom, and it really runs deep. Like even my own mother, I remember saying, like, I forget how I was what was going on and I needed some help, and she said to me, my mom never helped me. So it's like
Hmm,
that sucks.
so
I'm
sad.
sad for you, but is that how you want to have a relationship with me? Is that I need to do this all alone? I think it really challenged her view of like, well,
Oh, that
yeah,
was your answer to her? Oh, that's
yes.
beautiful. I
Yeah,
love that
that
response.
just because your mom did something a certain way doesn't mean you have to do something a certain
So
way,
true. Yeah.
and your daughter's here saying she needs help. Don't you want to help her? So
Yeah.
I want to change that. I don't like the way that our culture is so individualistic. I don't think it's healthy for us in not just this period of life, but in every period of our lives.
Honestly, yeah. I feel like whenever I feel that isolation, I love that I have like friends and I'm like really sad. Can we just like call and just talk and like just laugh with me? And it's so important to have that tribe, that
Yeah.
community of women that you can just be like, can I just cry? And they're like, yes.
But not everyone's like you. So many people are ashamed to reach out and say,
Yeah,
I need
that's
help.
true.
They're ashamed to act like they have any imperfection or need. And
Yeah.
it's hard. So many of my therapy clients say stuff like that. I wish I had friends, or like, I don't know what to do. I need help with this and that. And have you tried reaching out to your friends? Oh no, I couldn't do that. And it's,
Wow,
well, hold
yeah.
on, why not? It's because it's ingrained. And so we have to really work through that programming, and challenge it to recognize like this isn't how it's supposed to be. And it's a strength to ask for help.
Yeah, it's so vulnerable, right?
It
It's so funny. My friends would be like, no, Haley doesn't ask me for one
is.
of those people likes to suffer in silence. But I do love to like talk to my friends, but I won't talk about my problems.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. It's
It's
hard.
weird. It's so weird how that is.
But have you ever been to a womb room support group? People kind of tiptoe in there. I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to listen. And then they
Yeah.
start hearing people saying the exact same things they're feeling. And you start to see them like relax, like, holy shit,
Wow.
I'm amongst people who get it. And then they start to open up slowly. And it just feels so good to be able to share your experience and hear similar ones back.
Oh, I love that. I love what you're doing so much. I want you to get like an award. I want like Karen to win this award of like humanitarian of Baltimore. Like go.
That's very sweet. I'm not
So
sure if that exists.
I'm gonna make it up and I'm gonna give it to you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I will accept it.
So I have another question for you. How do you balance being a mom and a business owner? And yeah, I'm gonna open that, just open-minded
It's a big
question.
question. And I mean, I think I already touched on this a little bit by talking about how I burnt out because, before I
Mm,
had kids, I was just always go, go, go. I had
yeah.
something I wanted to do, I would do it, and
Right.
I didn't let anything stop me. And my calendar was always full. I always had a huge to-do list and I liked living that way. And then you have a kid and you realize that is
Mm,
just not really possible.
no.
Probably part of my postpartum depression after having my first is like, holy shit, like I suddenly have this restraint that I can't just get up and do whatever I want. I can't just like go to a yoga class whenever I want.
Right.
So now I have 3 kids. Obviously, that's more. So more stuff going on.
Yes.
I will say though, when you have more kids, you relax more. You realize like not every little thing is so important. Like if
Oh,
they
I
have
love
chicken
that.
nuggets one night, whatever. If they have a little too much candy, okay, they're gonna survive. If you're not providing like the ultimate educational experience every day, like you don't have to be perfect at it. And I think a lot of us go into it thinking that.
Yep.
Um,
Or comparing us to other moms, like, oh, my kid's
Totally.
not like her
Oh
kid, so
gosh,
I'm doing bad. Yeah.
absolutely. I with owning your own business, you can make your own schedule. And so I've really found ways to work around what my kids are doing so I can fit the work time in. And I also have a really great community of other mom friends who have businesses and we all support each other. So, if
Yep.
one of us has a really busy work day where we just have so much to get done, we'll say, hey, can you take the kids today? And then
Oh,
we'll trade
that's
off a
great.
couple days later. And it's really fabulous. Our kids love
Yeah.
each other, luckily, and get along really well. So,
That's so nice.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's amazing. Karen, it sounds like what you could attribute your success as a business owner is having the right people in your support system is the
for
biggest.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I first of all wouldn't have, taken over the womb room if my husband didn't have a business background because I did not. And so
Wow, yeah.
stepping into that was foreign to me, but he was very confident he could support me in that. So he's my biggest cheerleader, my biggest support person.
Hmm.
Anytime I'm struggling with something business wise, he has the answer. So that is really, really helpful. So I need to just like give him a lot of credit.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then
Cool.
just friends, people I've really put in place around me that have been really crucial to the whole experience.
Wow. Okay, last question. Oh, you have to go. Okay.
No, no, I'm good. I'm
Okay,
good.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, last question, I
Okay.
promise. So
Sure.
because there's actually a lot of young moms listening to this podcast.
Oh,
So
cool.
what Yay. So
Yeah.
what would you advise to young moms, new moms, that are trying to navigate this terrain of motherhood, anticipating motherhood? What what's your advice as the womb room owner?
Oh gosh. Okay, well, it's funny because I started in this as a brand new mom, but it's amazing how quickly in motherhood you start to feel like an expert because you have another baby and suddenly you've done it all before and people start to look at you as like, hey, you clearly know what you're doing. Tell me how to do this. So I want to remind them of that even though it feels very new and scary and fresh at first, I forget what they say. It takes, what is it? So many hours to become an expert. It's like, I don't know, 200 hours or something to become,
Oh, yeah,
maybe it's
yeah.
1,000, I don't know, 1,000
Malcolm
hours
Gladwell. Yeah.
it is to become an expert at something. I realized like you hit that mark pretty quickly in motherhood.
That's so
So
true.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
recognizing, it takes time to adjust to this role, just like it would, in any other role that you're doing, but that you will get more confident over time and it will feel more natural over time if it doesn't feel natural right away for you, because it's totally normal if it doesn't. Um, so being patient with yourself, taking it one day at a time, not being afraid to ask for help, reach out to whoever you have, anybody, it could be someone you just meet in a yoga class. You really have to put yourself out there, I would say sometimes, and do the uncomfortable thing and make the first step to make a new friend.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that part. Because sometimes, like, we go on Instagram or Facebook and it's like, oh, the world is so evil and mean. And then, but like, really, if you put it to the test, I've always found this to be true. Like, what you ask for, you usually can get. You just have to ask. You just have to ask. And the worst thing someone can say is no. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's the wrong person, right? I gotta ask the next person.
Yeah.
And I've always found like I can always usually get what I want if I just ask for it.
Yeah,
It's so
totally.
beautiful.
Yeah, and you don't realize how many other people feel the exact same way you do. It's just you're both not saying it. So if you,
Right.
try to make a friend, they could be feeling the exact same way. Like, oh, I wish I could talk to that girl.
Yeah. Oh, oh, Karen, this was such a treat. I am so, this such nuggets and sound bites that I'm just like loving so, so much. Thank you for everything you're doing for women and families. Like this, it's truly a pilgrimage of amazing servitude to this community. Like, thank you so, so much.
Mm, thank you. And thank you for saying that and for seeing me and seeing
Yep.
us and the work that we're doing. It feels really good to be recognized for your hard work. And for, wanting to get the word out there on the podcast. I'm really excited
Absolutely.
about that. So
Oh,
thanks, Amy.
yes. Thanks for saying that. So
Yeah,
how can people find you? Where
yeah.
should they go? Tell us the deets.
Yeah, so to learn more about the womb room, they can go to our website, which is wombroom.mom, M-O-M. My email is Karen@wombroom.mom. Everyone in the team, you just put their first name and then it's at wombroom.mom. And then our Instagram is the _Baltimore. And then Facebook is the same. Yeah, those are the places.
Hey. Yeah, I'm gonna put those in the show notes so people can reach
Yep.
out to you. You guys need to reach out to the womb room if you are anticipating a baby or just need any help with mom stuff. This is the place to go. Like you must go here.
Thank you so much, Haley. This has
Thank
been
you,
fun.
Karen. I loved it. I loved it.
Thank you for tuning in to Healing with Haley. If you enjoyed this episode, I think you'll love my new 6-week coaching program. It's designed to help women embrace and love their bodies just as they are. Together, we'll explore your thoughts, meet them with compassion, and start releasing the ones that hold you back. Ready to start your journey to self-love? Join me and let's make this change together. Click the link in the podcast description below.